Good evening, one and all. I hope you're all doing well this evening. Just let me know you can hear me in the chat box. Just let me know that the audio is coming through okay. As per usual, we will continue with what we left off with yesterday, which was the case of Child A. So basically what we're doing in this series is looking at both Lucy Letby's defense, her evidence in chief regarding specific cases. Then we're going to cross over and look at the prosecution and Lucy Letby's cross-examination regarding the exact same case. So her defense, for instance, for Child B, followed by the cross-examination. Sounds good. Excellent. Excellent stuff. Right, let's just say hello to a few people before we kick off this evening. Beautifully fractured. Welcome to you. Rachel Hubbard, many thanks for joining us. Who's that? Jan or John? That's how bad my eyesight is. Jan, that is. And there we go. Welcome to you. Daydreamers, welcome to you. Mac and cheese. Have some of that. Audio perfect. Evening all. Who else we got here? Lindsay H, welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. David Zimmerman. Jill Pendleton. Miss Blackwell. Who else we got here? Anne McGee, welcome to you. Stuart Kelly, Crew Dog, in the house. JB, welcome to you. Totem Crow, welcome to you. Liz C, I'm sure Lucy Blue here. There we go. Lucy Blue, welcome to you. And as I say, same format as we've covered previously. Half will be Lucy Letby's defense, the evidence in chief, followed by Lucy Letby's cross-examination on the exact same case. So we get the defense angle, the defense evidence, followed by the prosecution. And again, what's being presented here are the official court transcripts paid for by myself and the channel. And if you wish to support the work that I do and the channel in general, you can find out how to do that down in the video description box below. Right, let's catch up quickly before we start. Susie, welcome to you. Humanimal. It must be morning where Humanimal is. Welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Jack Graham, Gail, welcome to you. Now, like I say, tonight we've got the case of Baby B or Child B. And I may, now I'm not going to say this is a definite, it depends really how this goes and how knackered I am by the time we finish this, but I may well do Child C as well because I've put together Child C's ready for a live stream. So it's depending on how this goes. We may leave it at just Child B, or we may start a second stream straight afterwards and then follow the case of Child C. But we'll basically play it by ear and see how it goes. Jackie, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Shebsa Turner, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us. Miss Blackwell, you do an awful lot of reading. Yeah, I mean, I should probably have some contact lenses, to be perfectly honest. But you know, it's like laziness is the root of all evil, as they say. But anyway, we'll start in a couple of minutes' time, as I say, with the case of Child B. I think it was quite good yesterday because, you know, we went through, didn't we, the case of Child A. We discussed both sides of the argument. Factually speaking, from the defense with her evidence in chief, and then obviously the cross-examination. So what I've done again in this episode is highlight in pink, I think it is, in the color pink, certain parts that I find quite interesting. So those parts you may want to pay attention to in particular. I'm not going to expand too much because obviously I want this to be a factual piece and, you know, give both the defense and the prosecution equal time, basically. Right, who else we got here? A Cornish lass. Thank you for joining us this evening. Owen Smith, welcome to you. Thank you for joining us. Right then, shall we begin? That's the question. We haven't got Lenny here this evening as a moderator, but I believe Mr. Stamper will be along shortly, if he's not here already. Let's have a look here. Got a glass of Prosecco to enjoy this episode. Well, excellent. I hope you enjoy it. Right, let's kick it off then, shall we, with the case of Child B. And again, what I'm about to narrate here, as I say, are the official court transcripts. And this is Lucy Letby's evidence in chief. So where she's asked questions or posed questions by her own defence barrister, Benjamin Myers, KC. Oh, hang on a minute. I haven't removed this comment. 2 seconds. How do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay. Right, off we go then. So, Mr. Myers. I'm going to turn next to the case of Child B. Again, I won't repeat this each time we move between cases, but if I move from one case to the next, there's no insensitivity or lack of appreciation of the enormity of what we're dealing with. And that goes for you as well, Miss Letby, does it? She replies, yes. So just pause, keep in mind the gravity of what we're dealing with, but looking at the evidence of what comes next, which is count 2 on this indictment, ladies and gentlemen, the case of baby B, baby A's sister. Again, what we'll do is just orientate ourselves to what happened by some of the basic facts. Child B is the twin sister of Child A. The incident relating to Child B happened the following evening. Let's start with tile 1, please, Mr. Murphy, which is just the details of Child B's birth. Can we go behind that, please? Thank you. Count 2, baby B, born on the 7th of June 2015 at 20:30. It says here 31 plus 2 weeks, twin 1. Her weight is not recorded here, but her weight, no dispute, is 1,669 grams. Caesarean, of course, as her brother was. We scroll down a little bit, please, to the text giving details of the pregnancy. Again, antiphospholipid syndrome and the reference to warfarin and pregnancy and the medication given there. That's for high blood pressure and a previous stroke. Can we go next to tile 2, please, which just deals with some events soon after Child B had been born. If we go into that, please, there are some notes by ST1 Thomas. Just want to identify a few matters here, and then we'll move forwards. These notes are made at 2100. They set out the staff present at the delivery and what happened. And then they have the following, quote, brought to resuscitate, wrapped in plastic bag and hat placed on head. Face stimulated, no response. Blue and floppy, poor tone, heart rate approximately 50. 5 inflation breaths given. No chest movement noted and no response in heart rate. Airway repositioned. Does that say 2-man airway? Lucy replies, yes, so it's 2 people are needed to manage the airway. Mr. Myers, 2-man airway plus 5 inflation breaths given. No clear chest movement and heart rate remained below 60 with SAT of 40%. Airway repositioned with shoulder roll. 5 inflation breaths given and chest movement seen. Over the page, please, if it continues. Some attempts at rests, no change in heart rate, around 50 IPPV. That's independent positive pressure ventilation. Is that right? Lucy replies, yes. Given for approximately 30 seconds and chest movements good. Oxygen up to 40%. Heart rate less than 60, so CPR commenced between 2 and 3 minutes of age. Neonatal team requested. Neonatal consultant called at 5 minutes. No respiratory effort. First attempt at intubation. Tube appeared to pass cords. Unclear chest movement. No colour change on capnograph. No increase in heart rate. In fact, after that and further attempts, the intubation became unsuccessful and Child B got the breathing support. Hang on a minute, I've read that wrong. In fact, after that and further attempts, the intubation became successful and Child B got the breathing support that she needed. But that's just dealing with the process from birth and the early part of Child B's life. That all takes place on the evening of the 7th of June after she'd been born. And before we actually look at the events on the unit that we're dealing with, that we're looking at in this count, can we just look at the nursing note of Nurse A, which deals with the event itself, so we can keep that in mind when we hear your evidence. That's tile 218, please. Just to remind us all, we can go into that. This event, the second charge on the indictment, relates to events on the 9th of the 6th, going into the early morning of the 10th of the 6th. And as everyone may recall, there's 2 matters which come up. One is just before midnight, there was a desaturation and it appeared that Child B's CPAP prongs had dislodged from her nose. And then round about midnight, going into the 10th, there was a sudden desaturation to 50% and skin discoloration was noted. So that's what we're dealing with. We can look at the note now made by Nurse A. We're going to look at the note that says the 10th of June 2015 at 07:28. This is a note by Nurse A the following morning. Quote, shortly before midnight, child B desaturated to 75%. Found to have pushed CPAP prongs out of nose, prongs and head repositioned. Took a little while and O2 to recover. That's oxygen. Quote, heart rate remained stable, good respiratory effort throughout. Once settled, CBG taken, that's capillary blood gas, isn't it? Lucy replies, yes, which was normal. Dr. Letby on the unit and satisfied that child B was stable. Can we go to the next entry that follows soon after this one, the entry made at 07:29. 00:30, sudden desaturation to 50%. Cyanosed in appearance, centrally shut down, limp, apneic, CMV via neopuff. What's CMV mean? Can you help us with that? Lucy replies, that's continuous mechanical ventilation. It's another phrase of IPPV that we talked about earlier. Mr. Myers, all right. CMV via neopuff commenced and chest movement seen. Colour changed rapidly to purple blotchiness with white patches. Started to become bradycardic, which is a slowing of the heart rate, is it? Lucy replies, yes. Mr. Myers, emergency call for doctors put out, continued with neopuff via Guidal airway until Dr. Letby arrived, became bradycardic to 80s. Successfully intubated by Dr. Letby and heart rate improved quickly. 0.9 saline bolus given and colour started to improve almost as quickly as it had deteriorated. Started to breathe for self. Morphine commenced and placed on ventilator. I'll stop there, but we know after that there's a recovery with child B. So that's what we're dealing with. Let's just have a look first then as a starting point with the layout, who was on duty on that shift and who was looking after which baby. That's on tiles 145 and 146. Can we go to tile 145, Mr. Murphy? How good is your recollection of the details of this shift? Lucy replies, I don't have much recollection. Or of what happened with child B? Lucy replies, no. Could we go to tile 146, please, showing the actual layout of the nurseries? Thank you. We can see in nursery 1 is nurse A, designated with child B, and also baby JE. You, Miss Letby, were in nursery 3, designated with EB and HT. We can see who else is on the shift there. Without a display like this, would you have had any chance of remembering who was where doing what? She replies, no. Let's go through events then on that evening. To what extent, as a general rule, do nurses assist one another on a unit looking after the babies? She replies, very much so. A lot of tasks that we do require 2 people. Mr. Myers. And will a nurse, how do you know if a nurse needs help? I don't mean help because of an emergency. I just mean help with a task like prescriptions or with a line. Lucy replies, they would come and ask, and if anybody was free to assist them, they would come and ask if anybody was free to assist them at that time. Right, stop there for a second. Just catch up with the chat very briefly. Gabby, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Shabby Susanna. The notification didn't notify me, but I'm here now. Yeah, if you do have problems with being notified regarding the streams, then just click as if you're going to turn the notifications off and then turn them back on again. Apparently that does help sometimes by all accounts. So I'm told anyway. Lucinda Duran, welcome to you. Just got out of work. Listening in. Excellent. Welcome to you all this evening. Much appreciated for your attendance. Let's have a look here. Make sure I don't miss anybody out. No, I think that's everyone. Owen Smith, welcome to you. Right, let's continue onwards. Gabby's just had a mint Lindor. Would highly recommend. Sounds good to me. Sit and spin. I'm late again, but better than never. Yes, you're only about 15 minutes late, so you should be fine. We've literally just started. We're only like 8 pages in so far. Hi, John Mods and chat. Sorry I'm late. Miss Jax M, welcome to you. Thanks again for your viewership this evening. And Annie 40026, welcome to you. And also William. Right, let's get back to it, shall we? Let's hide that comment there. Have a little drink to wet the whistle. And then we shall continue. Okay, so we've got Mr. Myers. We've seen that Nurse A made reference to the prongs moving. Dislodging was the way she put it. And that child B had desaturated to 75%, found to have pushed CPAP prongs out of nose. Can prongs be dislodged by babies' movements? She replies, yes, quite easily. It happens frequently. Mr. Myers, is there anything unusual about that? She replies, no. Do you have any awareness of what went on with child B with prongs moving? She replies, no, I've no recollection of this event. What about with what happened at 0030? Do you recall any particular involvement with child B leading up to that? She replies, I recall running a blood gas at some point. I think it was about 12:15. Mr. Myers, let's have a look. Before we get to that, actually, could we put up, please, tile 213? Just go into that, please. Scroll down, please. It's on the second page that we need to go to. Pausing here, can you see it says day 2, 8th of the 6th, 15? Lucy replies, yes. If we look across, I would like you to assist us with what has happened at this time. She replies, on the 8th of June. Mr. Myers, yes. Yes, so on the 8th of June at 2300 hours, TPN and lipids have been started by those 2 members of staff that have signed there. Mr. Myers, yes. Did you have any involvement with child B, as far as you can recall, shortly after midnight on the 10th of June? She replies, not from memory, no, other than the blood gas. Can we then go to tile 20, which is the blood gas, and go behind that? If we scroll down, you tell us, where is the blood gas that you're referring to? We'll need to move down to where we have entries for the 10th of June. Lucy Letby. It's there, the first line on the 10th of June at 0016. 0016, is that your signature at the end of that line? She replies, it is, yes. What will you have done for that entry to be there? What did you do that led to that entry being made? She replies, it's likely that I was the person that took the blood sample to the blood gas machine on the unit and analysed the sample and brought the printout back and filled in this chart. Mr. Myers, would child B have been on her own when you took the blood gas sample away to have it analysed? She replies, no, no. Do you have any idea who would have been with her? She replies, I think it was Nurse A. Mr. Myers, you hadn't been working in nursery 1 that evening, had you? You were in a different nursery. She replies, that's right. Do you have any idea how Nurse A came to ask you for assistance with blood gas? She replies, no. It's usual practice that it would take 2 people, so she may have just asked if I was free at that moment. Mr. Myers, right. Apart from that, do you have any independent recollection of being involved with child B in any way before her desaturation at about 0030? Lucy Letby replies, no. You were, as it happens, questioned in your interview about morphine that was given to child B. I just want to deal with that. We'll be going to different interviews. We'll be going to the interviews from time to time, ladies and gentlemen. So let's start as we mean to go on. If you track down interview bundle 1, I'll show you the reference. Do you have a copy of the interview bundles there, Miss Letby? She replies, yes. If we go behind the redacted divider, where the initials for the baby are, that's also interview 1 always. And then we've got 2 and 3. So it's redacted interview 1. If we go forwards to page 12, please, we'll look at this questioning and look at the details for what happened with the morphine. Can you see there's some blue text, Miss Letby? She replies, yes. So then he moves on to discuss the police interview. Mr. Myers, you're being asked questions about contact you had with child B, and the police are looking at the question of what had happened and what could have been involved with the collapse that she had. You're shown tile 241, which we'll look at in a moment, or rather asked about the entry on that document. You said, quote, this is in police interview again, okay, that's a morphine bolus, that would seem, I have given to child B. The officer, physically, what do you do? Lucy Letby, You attach the morphine syringe to child B and give the volume. It says IV. I'm not sure which type of access child B had, whether it's peripheral, cannula, a long line, or UVC. The officer. So that's a physical pressing of a syringe into the baby via something. Lucy replied, yes. But you can't be sure what that was, what the apparatus was? She replies, I'm not sure which line it was delivered through. No. The officer, okay. So that and that, so that will be physical contact. She replied, yes, to attach to the line, yes. Mr. Myers, and that's right, isn't it? Using morphine like that would be physical contact with the baby in that way. Lucy replies, sorry, yes, it would, yes. But I'd just like to be clear about the time this actually happened, the morphine. Can we put up tile 241, excuse me, Mr. Murphy? If we have a look at that, this is the morphine that's given. Looking at the entry, what's set out there, who is involved in the giving of this morphine to child B? Lucy Letby replies, it's myself and Mary Griffith. Mr. Myers, yes. Now, of course, the officer was asking about contact in the context of establishing anything that could have been done to cause child B to desaturate or deteriorate. Lucy Letby, yes. But so we can be clear, what time was it that the morphine was given? Lucy replies, so this is at 0110, and this is as a result of her being intubated. Mr. Myers, right. So this is something that happens actually 40 minutes after the collapse, isn't it? She replies, that's right. Because of the collapse. She replies, it is, yes. So whatever you're being asked about physical collapse, that's not before the collapse at all, is it? She replies, no. Right, let's just stop there for a second. Right, so let's have a look here. Okay. Luckily, the dog isn't snoring tonight, so that's a bit of a bonus, isn't it? Oh no, she's actually wide awake by the looks of it. Cosmic Kitten, welcome to you. Thank you very much for joining us this evening. I don't know where Terence is. Where's the old Terry Stamper? Is he in the chat, or is he is he shirking? Oh no, there he is. There he is. He's there. Mr. Stamper is in the building. Right. Okay. Not when you're trying to record or narrate a document, because all I could hear was this horrendous snoring sound literally right below my feet. Beiji Biscoff cracking the whip to old Terence. Welcome to you, Vanessa. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. And Terry would like some Biscoff. Right, let's crack on then with a little bit more. Let's see how many more pages we've got of this. We're on page 15, or slide 15, I should say, and it goes up to 27. Okay, so let's put this back on full screen. Let's just make sure where I was. So whatever you've been asked for. Okay, so Mr. Myers, do you recall events leading up to child B's deterioration at 0030? Lucy Letby. Not with any clarity, no. Mr. Myers. What's the first thing you remember about what happened with child B that night, apart from possibly the blood gas? Lucy Letby. I know that there was a deterioration at some point, fairly soon after this. Right. What do you mean that you saw or took part in? Could you just help us with what your memory stretches to? Because we don't have the notes from you. The notes are from Nurse A. Lucy Letby. Yes. Tell us what you recall. Lucy Letby. From memory, Nurse A and I were both in nursery 1, and at some point we became aware that child B had deteriorated and her colour had changed, right? Lucy Letby. I think Nurse A alerted me to that. Mr. Myers. Do you recall how child B was? When you say her colour had changed, could you describe that? She had become quite mottled and dark. All over her body, or in particular parts of her body? Lucy Letby. All over, from memory. Can you describe that colour again? It was a dark mottling colour. A dark mottling colour, yes. You saw that? Yes. Had you seen anything like that colouring before? She replies, what do you mean? I always find that answer odd, but it'll become apparent as we move forward. Had you seen anything like that colouring before? What do you mean? Had you seen that type of colouring on any baby before this point? She replies, yes, it was like general mottling that we do see on babies. Right. Was it unusual or was it not unusual in your opinion? Lucy Letby. It was not unusual, but obviously we were concerned for child B because of child A's decline the night before. Mr. Myers. You described baby A, you say, was centrally pale with poor perfusion. Yes. So did it look the same as child A's or different from child A's? She replies, no. So child A was pale, he was white. Child B had more colour. It was a purple mottling colour. Mr. Myers. All right. Do you recall who was with you when you saw that? She replies, Nurse A. Were you joined by anybody else, Miss Letby? Dr. Lambie. Is that Rachel Lambie? Lucy replies, yes. Was there any action that you took once this deterioration had been identified? She replied, yes. So at that point, I was asked to go round to get the unit camera to take a picture of the colour change in child B. The unit has a camera, does it? She replied, yeah, it does have a camera, yes. So if anybody sees anything they regard as significant, are they able to access that camera? She replies, yes. Where is it kept? It's kept in the manager's office at the back of the unit. So you fetched the camera, yes. And what happened after you'd got the camera? So on my return, child B had stabilised and her colouring had returned to normal. So there wasn't anything to photograph. Did you have the camera with you? Yes. And you brought it back? Yes, and I got it very quickly. And can somebody use that camera? Yes. So could someone have taken it off you if they wanted and taken a photograph? She replies, yes. Did anybody? She replies, no. Again, could you explain to us why was no photograph taken even though you got the camera? She replies, when I returned, her colouring was normal. There was no abnormal change then. Pausing for a minute, and I'm sorry if you did say this, but I just want to be clear. What was the first, just going back a short period, what was the first that you knew or the first indication there was a problem with child B? If you can remember, what brought that to your attention? She replies, from my memory, it was Nurse A alerted me. By doing what? I think she called me over, right, to child B. Do you recall whether you had any part to play in the resuscitation or the stabilisation of child B? She replies, not from memory, no. Did you have any involvement with her soon after the collapse, apart from collecting the camera? She replies, so I believe I administered some of the drugs that she needed after intubation. If we just go back, please, to tile 20, which is the blood gas tile. Could we go there, Mr. Murphy? Can we go into that, please? We'll scroll down. Can you see 0051? She replies, yes. There's a capillary sample taken. Who's taken that sample? She replies, I can't say who's taken the sample, but that is my writing that's documented that they've analysed it. So again, I can't say who's taken the sample, but that is my writing that's documented that they've analysed it. Mr. Myers. Again, why can you not say who's taken the sample from this? She replies, because we can never definitively say who has taken a sample. This is not documented. But the likelihood is the person who's documented is not the person who's physically taken the blood sample. Mr. Myers, as you've explained, the nurse treating might do that and hand the ticket to another nurse to get the analysis performed on the machine. Lucy Letby, yes, and then they would remain with the baby. And the other nurse comes back and writes details up if that's right, being done that way, all right? And then Mr. Goss, Mr. Justice Goss steps in and says, sorry, hand the what to the other nurse? Mr. Myers, hand the sample. Mr. Goss, you said ticket, that's why I'm querying it. Mr. Myers, sorry, it's coming back with the ticket. It's the sample that's handed and then the ticket comes back. Is that right? Lucy Letby. The sample would be handed to the person who then goes to the gas machine and obtains the printout that we've seen, which is then written onto the chart. Mr. Myers. That's why the nurse writing it down, you say, may not be the nurse who's actually taken the sample. Lucy Letby, that's right. That was just after 0050. So about 20 minutes after the deterioration. Is that right? She replies, yes. And we've seen also that you assisted in giving morphine a little while after this. Yes. With Nurse Griffiths. Do you recall during the course of the resuscitation who was the stabilization, however we look at it? Who was present in that room? There's you, Nurse A, Dr. Lambie. Were you joined by anybody else from what you can recall? She replies, no. Were there any other doctors present from what you can remember? She replies, no, I can't say from memory. Other doctors did come, but I couldn't be sure who. Other doctors came, but you can't recall who. No. Sorry, yes, she replies. Do you recall whether Child B's family were present on this evening? She replies, I'm not sure if they were present at the time, but they did come once Child B deteriorated, yes. And who would have dealt with them principally when they came? She replies, usually that would be the designated nurse, so I would assume Nurse A. Right, if the designated nurse is assisting with the family, what happens with the baby, in this case, Child B? Because she's been stabilized, what happens with her? Lucy Letby. So the care would still remain with that nurse, but she may need help then from other members of nursing staff that are on the unit to help with the more practical side of the care if she is then supporting the parents. So with that in mind, can we look please at the observations at 237 and observations that follow the collapse and stabilization? If we go into that, Mr. Murphy, thank you. Take a look at the chart as a whole, and then I want to look at one of the entries in particular. If we look at about 3 or 4 lines in from the left-hand side, can we see your initials down at the bottom? She replies, yes. And we can see this is the shift on the 10th of June, going into the 10th of June. Nurse A was the designated nurse for Child B, wasn't she? She replies, yes. If we scroll up, we can see the time at which you've done these observations. We have your initials at the bottom. Let's see the row directly above that. So 0100, yes. Why would you be doing the observations on Child B at 0100 if Nurse A was the designated nurse? So at this point, the defense are drawing the jury's attention to the fact that Lucy Letby is now involved with this child's care, at least to some extent. Lucy Letby, it's not unusual that nursing staff would help each other out with observations. It may have been that Nurse A was talking to the parents at that time and has asked me to take the observations for her. It's not unusual. Mr. Myers, right. In a normal course of events, it would be the designated nurse that deals with the family. Yes, it would, yes. But staff have to continue looking after the baby. Is that right? She replies, yes. And is that what you were doing? She replies, yes. Right, so that's the end of her evidence in chief concerning Child B. We will move over shortly to the cross-examination. So let's sort all this out very briefly. Add that one on there, and then we change the background on here to this, is it? Yep, there we go. Like magic, isn't it? There we go. Okay. Right, let's just catch up with the chat very briefly. Kaz, you are a legend. Thank you for the £2 super sticker. As always, if you do wish to support the channel, the live streams, the work that I do, the transcripts, whatever you want to call it, then you can find out how to do that down in the video description box below. Thanks so much, Kaz, for that £2 super sticker. Greatly appreciated. Let's catch up here. Lucy Blue. John, my husband is very grateful for these live streams. I'm watching these and he's managed to watch a whole box set in peace. Well, there you go. There you go. You can't knock that, can you? You can't knock that. Mish, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Joyce Jennings, welcome to you. Cosmic Kitten, question, John, will you be reading the witness testimony as well? Do you mean regarding this case in particular, or do you mean just in general? I mean, I've got quite a few transcripts from some of her colleagues. I've also got, as I alluded to in a previous stream, I've got the evidence given in court by the parents, the mother and father of child E. I think that's about 148 pages long, literally just their evidence. Where they're asked questions both by Nicholas Johnson and also by Lucy Letby's barrister. Welcome, Anne. I've been reading Unmasking Lucy Letby. I have got that book. I just haven't managed to start it yet. I just haven't had the time. Let's have a look here. But yes, you know, it's whatever people want to hear. To be honest, if they're interested in the eyewitness accounts. But the thing is, with the cross-examination, it deals with a lot of the eyewitness accounts anyway. But there is a few that stick in my mind that I have read regarding Lucy's behaviour after certain events. I've got that transcript. I can't remember exactly who that nurse was, but it's something we could certainly look at. Yeah, for sure. Stuart Kelly, I listened to Unmasking on Audible. Yeah, I think probably an audio book might work better for me. I could listen to it in bed then, couldn't I? 61 likes and 135 viewers. What's up with that? Yeah, smash the like button, everybody, if you're enjoying the stream. It does help the stream's visibility by all accounts. So if you could do that, that'd be greatly appreciated. As I say, in the next few minutes, we'll move over to the cross-examination. So that will be Nicholas Johnson KC on behalf of the prosecution, then asking Lucy Letby about this exact same case. Miss Blackwell, my cat seems to like the live streams. She's headbutting my phone and purring. Well, it seems that my voice puts my dog to sleep. That's all I can say. So I don't know whether your cat will, suddenly fall asleep or pass out from my dulcet tones. It is possible. But my dog just seems to love laying under here and falling asleep to my waffle, basically. Can't be a bad life, can it? Let's be honest. Right. Okay, so let's just have a break for a couple more minutes and then we will continue onwards. Let's see how long this cross-examination is exactly. It is 47 slides. So that'll probably take us well over an hour, I'd imagine. I think what I'll do is because child C is such an in-depth one, and it is certainly longer than child B, I may save child C for tomorrow so we can really focus in and, just have child B and child A and child C all on separate episodes rather than doing this and then trying to get through the child C one, which I'd imagine would be a little bit of a challenge, because as you can see, this is a child C one that I've arranged earlier, but it's very, very in depth. So as I say, I think we'll leave the child C one for tomorrow's live stream, but we will definitely do one tomorrow, probably about 8 o'clock, I'd imagine, hopefully, or possibly earlier, but I'll let you know. Okay, cross-examination of child B, that's fine. Just make sure I don't miss anything in the chat here. 71 likes. Well, it's going upwards. That's good. Okay. Makes sense, John, to have child C separately. Yeah, I mean, that was the idea of this, wasn't it? It was to really sort of separate these cases and look at the evidence from both sides, deal with the defense and the prosecution in standalone single episodes. So yeah, it would make sense to do child C tomorrow night and, keep it all in a certain order. Crew Dog does not agree, however. They reckon just do 2 streams in one. I mean, I could. That was my initial thought this evening. I thought, well, let's, maybe I'll just do an extra long stream and, tie in the child C evidence after we finish this one. But I think it's probably better, all things considered, to do it tomorrow night, I would have thought. But we'll see. If I suddenly get a burst of energy out of somewhere, then I may well continue on with child C, but we'll just see how we go. At the moment, though, I would say we'll probably finish here after we've done this next part with the cross-examination, and we'll keep child C separate for tomorrow night. Right then, ladies and gentlemen, let's get on with the cross-examination, again on the same case, focusing solely on the case of child B. So in the presence of the jury, Mr. Johnson, is there anything that you said this morning that you would like to revise or amend? Lucy replies, no. There's one thing that I overlooked, which I'd like to deal with. Would you go to the defense statement I gave you yesterday, please? Could you go to page 6, paragraph 39? Would you read it out to the jury, please? She replies, there was some blotchiness on child A's body, but no one discussed it with me, and I don't remember it being mentioned amongst the nurses. Mr. Johnson, why didn't you put mottling? She replies, I think they're interchangeable. Mr. Johnson, we move on to child B, please. Before you were interviewed for the first time on the 4th of July 2018, did you have any memory, independent memory of child B? Lucy Letby, very little. Is it your case that staffing levels contributed to child B's collapse? No, I don't know what caused her collapse. Is it your case that medical competence contributed? She replies, again, I don't know why she collapsed. Have you identified any mistakes that were made with her treatment? She replies, no. Do you remember the devastation that child A's death caused his family? Yes. Do you remember child B's and child A's dad literally being prostrate on the floor following child A's death? Lucy Letby, what does that mean, sorry? On the floor, lying on the floor. I don't recall anyone lying on the floor, no. Well, can we go to child B's sequence of events, please, to tile 132? This is your message. Would you read it out, please? Now, before I read this out, it came out, didn't it, in the Furwell inquiry just recently, that the parents became aware of this, of what Lucy had said about the dad being on the floor crying, and the parents said, that literally never happened. That never happened. So it's a little bit odd that she has written this in this text message. Now, some people, oh God, some people have said dad was on floor crying is a figure of speech. Now, to me, dad was on the floor crying means exactly that. Someone was on the floor crying, doesn't it? I don't know. But some people have tried to excuse this by saying that dad was on the floor crying means that that's a figure of speech. But I can't say I've ever heard that. But it's interesting, isn't it? The parents say that literally never happened. So make of that what you will. Anyway, let's continue. Lucy Letby. Oh, don't feel like that. I'm sorry you had to end your shift like that. I've said to Nurse A that I can't look after child B because I just don't know how I'm going to feel seeing parents. Dad was on the floor crying, saying, please don't take our baby away when I took him to the mortuary. It's just heartbreaking. Glad the photos are nice. You don't remember that? No. Were you keen to give your colleagues the impression that you didn't want to take the responsibility for child B? She replies, it wasn't that I didn't take responsibility. It was just that I felt she'd be better looked after by somebody else. Mr. Johnson, but didn't you feel that getting back into nursery 1 was the best thing to do? To get back on the horse like they do in Liverpool? She replies, yes, but not with a baby and a family that we've dealt with before that have just lost their child. But you did migrate back to nursery 1, didn't you, despite that? Lucy Letby, we cover all of the nurseries. Yes. Would you answer the question, please? You did migrate back to nursery 1. Lucy Letby, at which point? Did you or didn't you? She replies, I will have been in nursery 1 at some point. Yes. We'll get to the point. Do you accept that child B did well on the day shift of June 9th, the day after her brother had died? Lucy Letby, I have no memory. I was not allocated for child B, so I don't recall the handover. Right, well, can we look at the interviews, please? The 12th page of the child B interviews. What is your second answer on that page, please? She replies, there hadn't been any undue concerns expressed. Yes. And that's about the clinical position of child B, isn't it? Yes. So do you accept that child B did well on the day shift of June 9th? She replies, yes. We received evidence that she was off CPAP that day, having skin to skin. Do you remember that? Yes. If anybody wants to make a note, that's tiles 76 and 78. That she was rooting for milk, we were told by Joanne Williams. Do you remember that? She replies, no, but I accept that. Let's look, tile 84. I'm not suggesting it's a memory test. This is Joanne Williams' note. Just scroll down, please. Can you see on about the 6th line or so? Lucy Letby, yes. Rooting, looking for feeds. Yes. That is a positive picture, isn't it? Yes. So the signs were good. Do you accept that? She replies, yes, on looking at the notes. Yes. Do you recall the evidence from child B's family that in effect they stood guard over her following the death of child A? She replies, I know that they were very much present on the unit, yes, and allowances were made for that, yes. But they left, according to the agreed evidence, shortly after 8 p.m. Do you remember that? She replies, I don't remember, but I accept if that's agreed, yes. Yes, it was evidence that was read to the jury by agreement. Okay, 2 seconds, guys. You should never drink anything fizzy when you're trying to narrate something live. That's a tip for you all, okay? Don't do it. Lucy Letby, okay. Mr. Johnson, I'd like to go to the staff presence at tile 145, please, with Mr. Murphy's assistance. There we see the population distribution and the corresponding responsible nursing staff, don't we? Yes. We can see that in nursery 4, Lisa Walker was working. Yes. And she was working the day before, wasn't she? I don't recall that myself. Okay, it's a matter of record. Okay. Your friend Nurse A was working? Lucy replies, yes. So she is the second commonality in terms of the staff. Your friend Mary Griffith was working as well, wasn't she? Yes. And she was your friend, wasn't she? Yes. And she too had been working when child A had died the night before. Lucy replies, no, Mary Griffith wasn't there with child A. Wasn't she? Lucy replies, no, Mr. Johnson. All right, it may be my mistake. I'll check that and either apologise or make sure that we get it right. Catherine Percival Ward was the shift leader. Catherine Percival Ward was the shift leader. Lucy replies, yes. She had a single child in nursery 4. Yes. Did you get on with her? She replies, yes. Does she bear you a grudge? No, I got on well with all of the nursing colleagues. She hadn't been working the previous night, though, had she? Lucy replies, no. Do you remember the evidence that she gave to the jury on the 21st of March this year in the case of child P, when she told the jury that you had said to her that working in nurseries 3 and 4 was boring? Lucy replies, yes, I remember that. And that you would, to use her word, migrate back to nursery 1 when things happened. Yes. And that is true, isn't it? You did migrate back to nursery 1. Lucy replies, yes, in response to things that were happening, which any other member of staff would be expected to do as well. Well, we will see. You had 2 children in nursery 3, is that right? She replies, yes. And you didn't like being there, did you? That's not accurate at all, no. Mr. Johnson, you were bored. She replies, no, I've never been bored at work. I've never described my work as boring. Mr. Johnson, let's just deal with what you were doing at the beginning of the shift, if we may, from the neonatal review. We see in lines 1, 3, 6, 9, and 10 that you were dealing with HM and the child EB. Lucy replies, yes. They're both your children, in effect. Yes. You're the designated nurse. That continues down towards the bottom of the page at 2200 hours at lines 25, 26, 27, and 30. Are we agreed so far? Yes. Over the page on page 2, we have 4 lines, 38 to 42, where you're dealing with HM at or about 2300 hours. Lucy replies, yes. Then there's the nasal prongs incident, if I can call it that, at line 47 at midnight. Yes. Then over the page, line 70, we have the event for child B when the prosecution say she collapsed. Yes. I suggested to you a moment ago that you were bored, and you did not accept that. So if we go now, please, to the sequence, Mr. Murphy, I'd be grateful, starting with tile 151. That's you texting Yvonne Griffiths, isn't it? Lucy replies, yes. And this shows, doesn't it, as a matter of fact, that as I suggested to you earlier, the parents of child A and B were still on the unit at this time. Yes. At tile 165, please, it shows that between 2041 and 2100 hours, you were texting your friend Mina Lapalainen. Lucy replies, yes. And as we've just seen, that's just after you had been dealing with EB and HM in nursery 3. Lucy replies, okay. And this is why I'm suggesting you're bored, because you're engaging in chit-chat with your friend. Lucy replies, no, that's common practice. We all used to do that on the unit. That's not unique to me. Tile 169, more messages to and from Mina in a 10-minute period between 2100 and 2110. Yes. Then Jennifer Jones-Key in the next tile. Manic, hope you're okay. And you respond immediately, manic. And then you at 172, Mel took it hard, we spoke earlier. Thank you, we're a good team. Say hi back. And those messages continued with both Nurse E, Jennifer Jones-Key, and indeed Yvonne Griffiths, through the tiles up to and including tile 181 at tile 2 at 21. Oh, nearly got there, didn't I? Start again. Mel took it hard, we spoke earlier. Thank you, we're a good team. Say hi back. And those messages continued with both Nurse E, Jennifer Jones-Key, and indeed Yvonne Griffiths through the tiles up to and including tile 181 at 2132. You are bored? She replies, no, all the members of staff use their phone on that unit, and this is me replying to our ward manager, who has texted me whilst I'm on shift. It was accepted that we used our phones on the unit. We can take it then that staffing levels weren't an issue on this shift. Is that right? She replies, I can't comment for the whole of the shift. Obviously, at this point, my babies have been cared for. Mr. Johnson, what do you mean you can't comment for the whole of the shift? She replies, I'm not responsible for the other babies, so I can't say what care needs they are having and receiving at this time. Well, are you suggesting that there was some deficiency in staffing levels? She replies, not at this moment. I can't see what was going on with the other babies. Let's continue with your messages, please. If we could go to 186 next, please. You asking Jennifer Jones-Key whether Yvonne Griffiths was in. Is that right? Yes. 187, she replies. 188, her clarification. 189, your reply. 190, her reply. 194, another one from you. 195, 196, 197. A block of social messages for 27 minutes between 22:01 and 22:28. Lucy replies, yes. Can we go back to the neonatal review chart, please, page 2? In the middle of that block of messages, line 30, you signing for a prescription for HM. Yes. You didn't use your phone in clinical areas? She replies, no, I didn't use my phone in the nurseries. No, that's right. At tile 202, a further block of social messaging between you and someone called Charlotte James. Who is Charlotte James? She replies, I live with Charlotte James in the staff accommodation at Ash House. So is she another nurse or employee of the hospital? She replies, yes. Were you bored? She replies, no. As a matter of fact, do you spend a lot of time texting when you're in either nursery 3 or nursery 4? She replies, I text regardless of where I am on shift. It's a common, so even if you've got an ITU baby? She replies, at times when they're not needing care, yes. And I think everybody would say the same thing if they were honest. Mr. Myers, if we go back to the neonatal review, just pick up where I left off, please, at page 3 of 7. We see that at 2302 and 2303, that block of 5 entries, in respect of which there's probably a degree of similarity, in the sense that the prescription and the update is the same event, isn't it? She replies, yes. So there's double counting, if you like. We see that's what you were doing with your friend Nurse A at that time. Is that right? She replies, yes, I was on the computer at this time. Yes. We know from the evidence, and it's tile 47, that child B desaturated at about midnight. Is that right? She replies, yes. If Mr. Murphy wouldn't mind by going back to the sequence of events to tile 209, we have that event represented by that tile. Is that right? Yes. Immediately afterwards, in a succeeding tile 210, we see Nurse A's note relating to it. Yes. That's when you migrated back into nursery 1, wasn't it? Lucy replies, I was working in nursery 1 at points. Yes, with medications. I'll stop there for a second. Whew. All right. $99 likes and 99 in the house. I think there's 149 at the moment. Let's just catch up with the chat here very briefly. Right. I don't think there's anything else I need to catch up with. Silver Fox, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Yeah, Lenny's not here this evening. He's out having a curry with his friends. Can you believe that? Literally ditches us like we're nothing, like we're nobodies. Just swans off for a casual curry with his mates. But apparently he'll be back tomorrow. So don't worry, you can give him a hard time tomorrow if he turns up. I'm sure he will. Yeah, Crew Dog, like I say, it's interesting, isn't it? Like when you look at stuff like this, people aren't as interested in the facts. People are more interested in the question. There's more interest in the question rather than the answer, if that makes sense. You've only got to look at stuff like the Essex Boys case, where, you know, that's a case where I don't believe that the two people who were sent to prison actually committed that crime. Those videos are just far more popular than the Lucy Letby content. People are interested in a conspiracy. You know, the question is far more powerful than the actual answer. People being told the actual facts of this case, for whatever reason, isn't as popular. It's just the way it is. But I still feel it's important to get both sides of this out there, you know, both her defense alongside the cross-examination, rather than focusing on just one or the other. This kind of, you know, fulfills that in many ways by covering, you know, both aspects at the same time. So Terry Stamper, curry sounds great. Yeah, you know, I'm here slaving away and he's off eating a curry somewhere. Must be nice. Must be nice. Right. Ms. Strangeway, welcome to you. Thanks for joining us this evening. Greatly appreciated. And as I always say, if you wish to support the channel in any way, shape or form, you can find out how to do that down in the video description box below. So let's continue. And again, thanks Kaz49 for your £2 super sticker. Let's carry on, shall we? The next page. Right. So again, Nicholas Johnson. After this time, you were in nursery 1, I'm going to suggest. Yes. If we go back to the neonatal review, page 3 of 7, lines 62 and 63, we see you involved, first of all, with child B immediately after her desaturation. Yes. Line 62. What was going on at that point? She replies, so from this here, Babevan and lipid was being given. Yes, this was a new bag, wasn't it? She replies, I can't say from looking at this on its own. Okay. It may have been a continuing 48-hour bag. I can't say from this. Let's go, having said we wouldn't do this, back to the sequence of events then, please, Mr. Murphy. Tile 213. You tell us whether it was a new bag. This is a prescription for lipid. Is that right? She replies, no, this is a TPN and lipid together. Yes, right, thank you. Whose signature appears on it? Myself. Who else's? Lucy replies, no one's. Shouldn't there be another one on there? Yes, this isn't the form that we both sign. There's an additional form. But that's not the question. Shouldn't someone else's signature be on this document? Potentially on this document, but as long as it's on the other sheet, that would be acceptable. Potentially. Should another person's signature be on this document? Yes, ideally, yes. Thank you. Here's the other document. What do we see here on day 3, the 9th of the 6th, 15? Lucy replies, it's got myself and nurse A starting a new bag of TPN and lipid at 0005. So you have migrated back to nursery 1. Lucy replies, all medications have to be checked by 2 nurses, so inevitably it would have to be the other nurse, the other member of staff that was assisting nurse A. All right, let's go to the next tile then, please. Let's concentrate on what's going on at midnight. 24:10 is the way it appears there. Is that right? She replies, I can't see that clearly. Nicholas Johnson, we'll make it bigger. 24:10, about the time that the Bevan bag goes up? She replies, potentially, that's not my writing, but it looks either 00 or 10. Yes. Okay, and if we scroll down, whose writing is that number there? Lucy replies, I can't say. Whose writing appears in the next column? Myself. It looks similar. Yes. 45 is you, isn't it? The what, sorry? The 45 in the 24:10 column. Lucy. Oh, potentially, yes. Potentially, yes. Does that mean yes? She replies, I can't be definitive because it's not my writing at the bottom. You've migrated back into nursery 1, hadn't you? Lucy replies, that's an expected course. Whoever's working in nursery 1 is going to need assistance from another nurse. What, to do the observations? She replies, I'm not saying that I've done the observations, but potentially, yes, if nurse A was busy doing something else, then we would support each other, yes. Let's look at the blood gas a few minutes later at tile 215, 0016. Whose writing is that? Lucy replies, that's mine. You had migrated back into nursery 1, hadn't you? Lucy replies, a blood gas needs 2 nurses, so yes, 2 nurses would need to be there, and yes, I was there. Well, you say that, but as a matter of fact, as we've gone through all the blood gas documents in this case, it's almost always the designated nurse that makes the entry in the chart, isn't it? She replies, no, I don't agree with that. You don't agree? No. Well, I'm not going to go through them all now. You'll be glad to know. Now, when you were being asked questions about this a while ago now, you said that nurse A had remained with child B at this stage. Do you remember that? She replies, yes, she was in the nursery with her, yes. No, you said she was actually with her. Do you remember saying that? She replies, no. You don't remember that? No. Was that a police interview? No. That's when Mr. Myers was asking you questions. So again, he's referring here to what we've just narrated, what we've just gone through. So I'll just go over that again. Lucy Letby, yes, she was in the nursery with her. Yes, she was in the nursery with her. Yes. No, you said she was actually with her. Do you remember saying that? No. You don't remember that? No. Was that a police interview? No. That's when Mr. Myers was asking you questions. I know nurse A was with her. She realigned the prongs. And then we put the TPN bag up. So, yes, she was with her and she carried out the blood gas. Do you remember nurse A telling the jury that, in fact, she was diverted by preparing medication for another child in nursery 1? She replies, yes, we were both preparing that medication. And that's why you were doing the observations on child B, isn't it? Because she was actually doing, I can't say that, I was checking medication with nurse A. She was a sterile nurse, yes. She was doing the medication and you were doing the other jobs. Lucy replied, no, I would have had to have been by her side watching everything that she was doing. That is the role of the second checker. So how did you do the blood gas at 0016? She replies, I have not. I've run that through the machine for nurse A. But you've got to be with her while she's preparing the medication for the other child. How can you go to the blood gas room and be with her? She replies, what time is the medication for the other child? Mr. Johnson, she told us that that's what, when she gave evidence, that is what she was doing at this time. She also said she was the other side of that little wall in the nursery. She replies, yes, we were both preparing that medication. We were both there preparing that medication, yes. So you do remember? I remember us both being in the nursery, yes. No, You remember being the other side of that little wall from child B, do you? She replies, no, I remember us preparing medication. That is when the medication is prescribed and drawn up. Do you remember telling the jury that it was Nurse A that had alerted you to child B's collapse? Yes, I'm unsure which way round it was. Which way round what was? She replies, I'm unsure whether I spotted it first or whether Nurse A alerted me. Right, that's why you told the jury that she alerted you, because you weren't sure which way round it was. She replies, my memory is she alerted me, but I can't say for definite now. That was my memory at the time. So she's wrong about that? Potentially, yes. Well, everything's potentially, yeah, but are you saying she's wrong? She replies, I can't sit here now and definitively say which way. No. You injected child B with air, didn't you? No, I didn't. Do you remember on Friday the 5th of May, you were asked by your counsel about what happened to child B at this point? She replies, yes. I'll remind you of what you said and ask you whether you want to change any of it. The question you were asked was, do you recall how child B was? When you say her colour had changed, could you describe that? You replied, she had become quite mottled and dark. Yes. Is that accurate? Yes. You were then asked, all over her body or on a particular part of her body? You replied, all over, from memory. Yes. You were then asked, can you describe that colour again? You replied, it was a dark mottling colour. Yes. And you saw that, you were asked, and you said, yes. Yes. You were then asked a question, had you seen anything like that colouring before? Yes. Do you remember what your answer was? No. What do you mean? You were asked the question again. Had you seen that type of colouring on any baby before this point? And your answer? Do you remember? No. Yes, it was like general mottling that we do see on babies. Yes, and I agree with that. I know you do. Then you were asked the question, right, was it unusual or was it not unusual in your opinion? You replied, it was not unusual, but obviously we were concerned for child B because of child A's decline the night before. Yes. And so the essence, I'm going to suggest to you, that the essence of what you were saying to the court on Friday the 5th of May was that child B had what I will describe as common or garden mottling. Lucy replies, I would say her mottling was more pronounced maybe than general, but yes, it was mottling. Have you always said that? She replies, I don't recall. You don't recall? Why would you say anything different? She replies, that's how I remember it now, yes. We move on to the police interview. Okay, if we go to your interview, please. So back to file number 1. It's the first of the child B interviews, pages 7 to 8. Right at the bottom of the page, please, you're asked a question about 5 or 6 lines up saying, excuse me. Question. Okay, and that mottling as you've described it, is it something you witnessed in child B yourself? You replied, yes. You did? When was that? You replied, I don't recall at what point. Right. And the circumstances around you seeing the mottling, who was with you at the time? You replied, I think it was Nurse A. Can you describe that mottling? Is it similar to that with child A or different? I'm just going to read that part again. The next question, can you describe that mottling? Is it similar to that with child A? Different? She replies, I think she was more mottled as opposed to child A was paler. Child A was more pale centrally, mottled peripherally. And I think from what I recall, child B was more mottled, and that extended over more of her body rather than just her limbs. Next question. So was it a different colour? She replied, from what I remember, it was darker, just darker than child A. So child A was pale, whereas child B was more mottled, which is a sort of purpley red. Yes. Nicholas Johnson, is that true? Yes. Right, okay. Rash appearance is the phrase you then use. Rash appearance. This isn't mottling. This isn't common or garden mottling you're describing, is it? Lucy Letby. Yes, it's more pronounced mottling. It's darker mottling, but it is mottling. Mr. Johnson, why did you use the word rash appearance? Lucy Letby. I can't recall now. What does it mean to you now? These are your words. What do they mean? She replies, I don't know. I would take rash appearance to mean that it was all over the body. Next question, any particular shapes to that? And your answer, please? Well, usually mottling is a sort of a patchy round appearance. Yes. Are you saying this was normal? Lucy Letby. No, mottling is not normal, but it is something that we see. Okay. In the normal parameters of mottling, are you saying this was normal? She replies, no, it was more pronounced than just general mottling. If it was, do you think it was remarkable? Lucy Letby. I can't recall specifically. I know once we saw it, it came very quickly. And in view of child A's deterioration, everybody acted very quickly. You say, once we saw it, it came very quickly. Were you with child B before it appeared? No. Why did you say, once we saw it, it came very quickly? That's just, I've rephrased that wrong, sorry. That's all right. Well, it's all right. You just say what you mean. If this was all fairly normal, why did the doctors ask you to go and get a camera? Lucy replies, in view of what had happened with child A the day before, we did not want to take any chances and wanted to document everything that was happening. Let's look at what other people said about this and see whether you agree or disagree with them. Okay? All right, we'll start that in a second. A new member, Alora Mack. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. We definitely need some more members on the channel. That's one thing we definitely need increasing. As I've mentioned in previous streams, starting next week, we're having at least one private stream per week, which is for members only. So members of the channel will be getting something back in the way of a private live stream, which will be, as I say, once per week starting next week. And if you wish to become a member of the channel, you can find out how to do so down in the video description box below. Oh, hang on a second. I've got something here from Mish L. Thank you so much. Thank you very much for your $6 donation, Michelle. That is greatly appreciated. For some reason, the donations I receive via Buy Me a Coffee don't actually show up on the stream. So thank you very much for that, Michelle. Greatly appreciated. Right, let's catch up here. Are we still not on 100 likes yet, Cosmic Kitten? That is absolutely disgraceful. A private stream like OnlyFans? No, it's definitely not going to be like that, Crew Dog. No, you're going to need to pay me a hell of a lot more if you want something like that. Oh my God, what's this? Miss Jax M gifted 5 crime scene memberships. Thank you so much for that, Miss Jax M. So basically, you can become a member yourself, or you can actually purchase memberships for other people on the channel. And that's what Miss Jackson has done there. 5 gifted memberships gifted 5 crime scene to courtroom memberships. Thank you very much, Miss Ms. Jackson. That's greatly appreciated. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Right, what else have we got here? And like I said, it's probably one of the best ways you can support the stream is by memberships, I would say. I mean, I in terms of like a percentage, in terms of the profit that I make, is probably definitely on the lower side. But it's great to build a community, especially as I'm doing these live streams pretty much every night now. It would be good to get like, you know, a real core audience moving forward. 110 likes, says Jude. Thank you very much. Since you're not getting a curry. Yeah, I know. It's a tough life, you know. I'm a slave to the trade, as they say. But I can't believe Lenny has completely ditched us this evening, just buggered off for a curry. Can't believe it. Unreal. Yes, thank you very much, Ms. Jax. Greatly appreciated. And thank you to Anne as well. Right, we'll continue in just a second. Just bear with me. Like I say, drinking fizzy stuff whilst narrating live is not the way forward. Not the way forward at all. How much of this have we got left? So we're on slide 33 at the moment. We've got up to 47, so got another 14 slides to go. Lucy Blue, Lenny, curry before crime scene. That's what he should have said. Curry before crime is a crime. He actually said he was going to tune in tomorrow and watch this, so he's going to be seeing all these messages that you send him. I'm sure he'll have something to say about that on tomorrow's live for sure. Beautifully fractured. Prosecco is going down nice. Excellent. Glad to hear it. Right then, guys, let's get this finished, shall we? Got about, as I say, about 13 slides left, I believe. Okay, so Mr. Johnson, I'm going to start on this occasion with the mother of child A and B. It was a very similar situation to child A. Child B's heart and oxygen saturation levels had fallen rapidly. The female consultant went on to describe seeing blotches mottling across her skin, hand and feet. She asked our permission to take pictures of the mottling, and she, that is the consultant, stated she had never seen this before. This is Dr. B, one of the gang of four. I remember being surprised that this was something that she had never witnessed before. I imagined the consultant of neonatal care would have seen everything. By the time the staff had organised the camera, it had disappeared. Do you accept what the mother of child A and B says? Lucy replies, I accept there was mottling, yes. Do you accept that Dr. B was saying at the time, I have never seen anything like this before? Lucy, I can't recall that conversation, no. But you have agreed the evidence. Lucy, sorry, I don't understand. The mother of child A and B didn't give evidence because what she says in her witness statement is agreed. Yes. So it is agreed that Dr. B said, I have never witnessed this before. Lucy Letby. Yes, but it was not said to me. No. You agree it was said? Yes. And do you remember it being said? No. Nicholas Johnson. Why are you prepared to agree this then, when you're not prepared to agree other witnesses' accounts of what they don't accord with, simply on the basis that you didn't see what they say they saw? She replies, can you rephrase that, please? Yes, it wasn't very well put. I'm sorry. Nicholas Johnson again. When I was asking about child A, you would not accept the descriptions given by some of the witnesses because you say that was not what you saw. Yes. Here we have something that you say you did not hear, but you are prepared to accept. Is there a reason for that? She replies, I'm relying on that person being accurate. I wasn't there for that conversation, so I can't say whether that was said or not. Did you go and get the camera? Yes. Were you keen to get a picture of what it was that was so unusual? Lucy Letby. No, I was asked to go and get the camera, which I did immediately. That was what the doctors requested, and by the time I came back, her skin was normalized. Do you accept that this was mottling that is not normal mottling? She replies, it was more pronounced mottling, yes, and in view of what happened with child A, all the staff were very keen to act quickly on any change with her in case it was anything that was related to child A. Do you remember Dr. Lambie? Yes. She made a note as a child 243, if anybody wants to keep a note, but I'll remind you of what she actually said in evidence. Quote, I do remember she was being resuscitated when I arrived. She was a very dusky, pale grey colour. Is that accurate? Lucy replies, I can't say at that point. I don't know if I was there at that point. As we were helping her, she was then developing widespread blotches. Do you accept that is accurate? Not from my memory, no, it was mottling. This wasn't disputed in cross-examination. You understand that? This wasn't challenged. Lucy Letby, yes, but I wasn't there at that point. Potentially, I was getting the camera. Well, do you accept it? If that's what she says she saw, then yes. Okay. I accidentally didn't read the full sentence there, so I'll read the full sentence. As we were helping her, she was then developing widespread blotches, is probably the best way of describing it. Patches of a purpley red colour. Do you accept that? Lucy Letby. I don't recall ever seeing that, but I accept if that's what she thinks she saw, then yes. They would flush up, last about a few seconds, 10 seconds, and then disappear and then reappear elsewhere. Do you accept that? No, I did not see anything like that, and no conversation was ever had about that. Therefore, do you say that that is untrue? She replies, I can't comment for them, but it's not something that I saw or was aware of. No, I just recall seeing mottling. Then Mr. Justice Goss jumps in. The sort of purpley red mottling? She replies, yes, that's mottling, yes. And I then went to get the camera. Nicholas Johnson. Do you remember when being asked questions on your behalf, Dr. Lambie said that she had never seen anything like this before? Yes. Your friend, Nurse A, she said that what she saw was the same as child A. I don't agree with that. Now, bear in mind, again, this has to be highlighted. Nurse A, my dog's snoring just to put that warning out there. Nurse A isn't part of the conspiracy group against Lucy Letby. So Lucy Letby said that the people that were against her were Stephen Breary, Ravi Jairam, was it Dr. B? And who was the other person? There was 4 people, wasn't there? There was Ravi Jairam, Stephen Breary, Dr. B, and John Gibbs. That was it, wasn't it? Dr. Gibbs. So Nurse A was a personal friend of Lucy Letby's, right? Nurse A isn't part of a conspiracy against Lucy Letby. She's a personal friend. She'd worked as a nurse for over 20 years, a highly experienced nurse. So let's carry on. Your friend, Nurse A, she said that what she saw was the same as child A. Lucy Letby. I don't agree with that. What Nurse A said is this. She suddenly looked very ill. She looked very like her brother had done the night before, with the pale white, with this purple blotchy discoloration, and she indicated over her chest. I just remember thinking, no, not again. I've never seen anything like that before, and then to see his sister with the same appearance. Remember that? Lucy Letby, yes. And that's the truth, isn't it, Lucy Letby? No, I do not agree with that. That's not what I saw. Finally, we had Dr. B saying, I have seen that there's a purple blotchiness to the right side, mid-abdomen. It's a bit like what you're describing with child A, isn't it? One side of discoloration. Lucy Letby, it was paleness, but on one side, yes. She said, and right hand, and the baby is pink and active. Remember, Nurse A, of course, was considerably senior to you, wasn't she? Yes. You've been looking after the sickest babies for 2 months? Lucy Letby, I don't understand, sorry. You've been QIS trained for a couple of months, 2 months? Yes. 3 maybe? I don't know. Yes. She had a couple of decades of experience looking after the sickest babies? Yes. And yet all of a sudden, once Child B had had this episode, in effect you elbowed out Nurse A and took over the care of Child B, didn't you? Lucy Letby, no, I did not take over the care of Child B. We've already seen the observations at 1 o'clock. You carried those out, didn't you? Lucy Letby, yes, Nurse A was supporting the parents at that point. It's not unusual for nursing staff to assist each other with obs or fluids or medications. That's not her handing the care over to me. Let's look at tile 226, please, in the bottom left at 0100 hours. That's your writing, isn't it? And your initials at the bottom? Yes. Intubated, it says 2326. I think that's a mistake, isn't it, on the times? Yes. It was actually 01 or 0036. Lucy Letby, yes. 232, please. A blood gas record at 0051. You're writing again? Yes. As it had been at 0016? Yes. Tile 238, please. 0100 hours. Is that you making the entries at 0100? Yes. 241, 0110. You and Mary Griffiths signing for morphine for child B. Yes. 250 to 251. You and Nurse A co-signing for medications at 0207. Yes. 253 to 256. More medications at 0225. Yes. Were you suggesting to any of your colleagues that perhaps antiphospholipid syndrome was an explanation for the death of child A and the collapse of child B? She replies, no, because I wasn't aware of that. I didn't have any details about what antiphospholipid syndrome was. I'd never heard of it before. Let's just go back to the child A sequence if we can, please, Mr. Murphy. Sorry to jump around. Can we have tile 337, please? querying a clotting problem. That's what antiphospholipid syndrome is, isn't it? Yes, I know that now. Yes. You knew that then because you were sending the text. No, that was a discussion. They were querying a clotting problem. I don't think the word antiphospholipid syndrome was used at that point. They then moved to the police interviews. Can we go to, I'll just check something, back to the interview, please, at documents redacted. A reference I missed out earlier. Almost halfway down the page, what did you say in answer to the question, or any observations that you had with child B that caused you concern at all on that shift? You replied, or she replied, I do remember that she had some mottling that looked a little bit similar to child A's appearance the day before. You told the jury that all you saw on child A was whiteness. Yes. So how did her mottling look similar to what child A... Well, I've then gone on to describe it in more detail. Yes, but it's not the description. And it says overspeaking, Lucy Letby, overspeaking. They were different. It's not the description I'm interested in. I'm interested in why you were linking or drawing a similarity between what you had seen on child A and what you had seen on child B. Lucy Letby. I can't say now. I don't know. Well, I'll offer you a reason. Because they were the same. No, I don't agree with that. Like your friend Nurse A said, oh no, not again. Lucy Letby. She was referring to a sick baby. She didn't want something happening again. She wasn't referring to the rash. No, no. She was referring to the rash, Lucy Letby. Okay, that's precisely what she was referring to. Okay, I don't agree with that. I know you don't agree, but you're also not going to be able to rewrite what she said, are you? No. No. Do you accept that all the people who saw the skin discoloration say they hadn't seen this sort of thing before? Lucy Letby. I have to accept what they say, yes. Do you accept that Professor Kinsey has excluded a blood disorder as a cause for what was seen? Yes. Do you accept that Dr. Arthurs saw bubbles in child A's case? Yes. And that Dr. Marnarides found them in the histology, also in child A's case? Yes. Do you accept that air was put into the IV lines of both children? No. Or either of them? No. Do you accept that you had the opportunity to have access to the IV lines of both children just before they collapsed? Lucy Letby. Yes, but I didn't access the lines. Now, I've made a note of this because what we covered yesterday, in the case of child A, Lucy Letby said something different, didn't she? So this is back to child A, the cross-examination, where the following exchange took place regarding access to child A's lines. Nicholas Johnson said, "Could you touch the lines?" She replied, "No." "Why not?" She replied, "The incubator was closed." Yet here, with child B the following evening, the twin of child A, Nicholas Johnson asked, "Do you accept that you had the opportunity to have access to the IV lines of both children just before they collapsed?" She replied, "Yes, but I didn't access the lines." So it's almost like when talking about the case of child A, it's minimizing her opportunity, isn't it? Could you touch the line? No. Why not? The incubator was closed. It's minimizing the opportunity. But then she's changed it there with child B. So bearing in mind, these cases are literally 1 day apart. Child A, child B. They're both twins. With child A, no, I couldn't touch the lines. No, why not? The incubator was closed. When she's then cross-examined about child B, do you accept that you had the opportunity to have access to the lines of both children just before they collapsed? Yes, but I didn't access the lines. So there we are. Okay, right. What have I missed here? A werewolf. I love that name. That's actually really funny. A werewolf. Thank you for becoming a YouTube member. Greatly appreciated. Janice Gobbin. Thank you very much also for becoming a YouTube member. And as I say, the private live streams, the members live streams will be starting from next week. The public ones, the ones that we're doing now, they will still continue. but there'll be an additional one once per week for members of the channel. Right, I'll stick with you for another sort of 5 or 10 minutes or so, I'd say. Just catch up with the chat here. But yeah, you know, I mean, when you think back to her defense that we've covered regarding this one, baby B, child B, you know, her defense didn't cover, you know, in very much detail at all, did they, her whereabouts after child B had collapsed. And yet when the cross-examination took place, they were like, you've done medications here, medications here, medications here, medications here. Yet they only sort of briefly touched upon Lucy Letby having involvement with child B after the collapse, you know, during that part of her defense. They only briefly touched upon it. Yeah, the prosecution said, you know, your writing is pretty much all over these observations. You've administered multiple different doses of medicine to this child. You've basically migrated from where you were at the start of the shift into nursery 1 after child B had collapsed, almost taking over care of the child that they allege, you know, that she's attacked, basically. Some parts of Leeds are nice. I've never been to Leeds. Obviously, I've been to Manchester, but I have not been to Leeds. I think that's in a response to some other John No, by the looks of it. But it's interesting, isn't it? Like I say, her defense don't cover that in any real detail at all. They don't even talk about the skin discoloration because obviously it doesn't really serve their purpose, does it, to, you know, bring up stuff like that. That's the prosecution's job, or the job of the prosecution, I should say. But it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, how do people explain that? People that believe that she's innocent. How do you explain that her own personal friend, along with other medical professionals working that day, saw a rash that they had never seen before? And yet Lucy Letby, on 2 occasions now, hasn't seen what they saw. Does that make sense? You know, people will just say, oh, it was a big conspiracy. I mean, but then how far does the conspiracy go? Because Lucy Letby had 4 people. It was John Gibbs, Dr. J. Ram, Stephen Breary, and Dr. B from memory. Those were the people that were in the conspiracy or the conspiracy group against Lucy Letby. It wasn't her personal friend, Nurse A. She's not part of the conspiracy. So how do people who believe she's innocent, how do they explain that she's, you know, an individual with 20 plus years experience? She's seen a rash that she's never seen before, or discoloration she's never seen before. Lucy Letby saying, no, that didn't happen. That's not what I saw. You have Nurse A saying that what she saw with child B was the same as what she saw with child A. No, I don't agree with that. No, I don't agree with that. Why is she denying that? Why is she denying that? That's the question I want people to answer. If you truly believe she's innocent, why is there a massive disconnect there? I mean, that's you know, it's a feature of many of these cases where these children collapse out of nowhere, then they make a miraculous recovery. Sometimes they make a miraculous recovery, sometimes sadly they died. But that is a feature of many of these cases. But you know, this will all be discussed as we go further forward with the future cases, of course. Oh dear, yeah. It's a sad case, very, very sad case. Beiji Biscoff. Unlucky for her, Nicholas Johnson is as sharp as a tack. Yes, I'd have to agree with you there. And like I say, I don't mean to make the I don't know if it's coming across to you guys at home, but obviously I find it a lot easier to narrate the prosecution stuff because I've narrated it hundreds of times before. You know, I did that series when I released all of the cross-examination in single videos. I've recorded it again all as one gigantic thing. I've recorded these lines on many, many occasions. With the defense stuff, I'm reading this live with you. So when I go through her evidence in chief, I'm reading this at, you know, the first time for the first time. So when you're hearing it, it's new to me as well, basically. That's why there may be the odd error, or why it doesn't come across as smooth as, you know, let's say the cross-examination. Right, okay. Right. Okay, let's just carry on for a little bit longer. We're up to 1 hour 35. And like I say, tomorrow we're not gonna go just yet, but tomorrow we're going to be dealing with the case of Child C. So it'll be a slightly longer stream tomorrow night. Probably the same sort of time, maybe 7 o'clock tomorrow, maybe 8 o'clock. But I'll put up the stream, ready to go live, probably by about lunchtime, I would have thought. So if you check the channel sort of after 12 o'clock, it should be scheduled, and it should show you what time it's gonna be live. And as always, thank you for remaining so polite and having a friendly debate in the chat. Like I've said before in previous streams. Look at it. Terry, no, I'm not providing you with curries. I mean, what, just the mod team? Is that what you're after? I could possibly sort you out at some stage. Christ, what was I going to say? Let's have a look here. The whole chat? No way. I'll be bloody skint. You don't want me living on the streets, do you? We're all equally hungry here. I'm hungry as well. I'm starving. Oh my God. Literally, Terry is basically feeding the 5,000 here, pretty much. And he finds it highly amusing. There was something else I was going to say, but it has completely and utterly slipped my mind. As I say, tomorrow we will start with this, which is the case of Child C. As I say, it's a bit more in depth. It will be a slightly longer stream tomorrow night. And we'll probably kick off around about 7 or 8 o'clock, depending on what takes place during the day, basically. Leslie lives in the Ripper area. At David Zimmerman, yes, people often complain about the cost of a KC, but his extensive research and prep showed us that we are paying for what we are paying for and why it's so expensive to hire one. Yeah, I actually saw that Lucy Letby's legal bills now topped 1.8 million, hasn't it? So I'll remember that when I'm paying my tax bill in a couple of weeks' time, that a lot of my hard-earned pennies are going to be paying older Mr. Myers' heating bill. Oh dear Christ, it's crazy, isn't it? 1.8 million. Insane. Crazy. Kaz49, thank you. And thank you very much earlier for your super chat. It's greatly appreciated. The thing is, though, Jude, I say that, but I would much rather have a fair legal system where she's been given the best of the best. There's no expense spared, because otherwise you'll just get people saying, she had a terrible defense. The prosecution were able to spend this amount of money. She was only allowed to spend half of that. It's better, actually, when you think about it, that she has been afforded such a good KC, such an amount of money to lodge a defense regarding those accusations. So, overall, I would say it's actually a good thing. 1.8 million, yes, then throw in the cost from the Cheshire police investigations. Yeah, I mean, the full-on cost of this is insane, isn't it? It really, truly is. It really is. Beiji Biscoff, those poor parents, you just can't imagine standing guard over the second baby after your first going. Yeah, and like I say, I never try and portray myself as some kind of saint or anything like that. I'm certainly not anything like the sort, but there is a big part of me that wants the facts of this case to be put out there, as I discussed in a previous live stream, because the way I see it is that the parents of these children, they don't have a voice because of the anonymity order. They can't just pop online and fight their own case. They can't fight their own corner. So with me having the facts of this case, as in what was told in court, it feels like I'm providing a voice for them in some sort of way. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm providing exactly what happened in court, verbatim, for people to be able to listen to the actual facts of this case and not just rely on Twitter or Facebook or whatever, you know? So I feel like by doing this, I am sort of in some way doing some good towards what they've gone through, as crazy as that sounds. You know, hopefully I am. Like I say, not one of the parents involved in this case has ever contacted me or said, you know, we don't want you doing this. So I can only assume that by doing this and putting the facts of this case out there, that in some way, shape or form, it is helping the full facts of this case to be told publicly. That's what I hope anyway. That's what I hope. David Zimmerman with the £3 super sticker. Thank you very much. Greatly appreciated. Vanessa. See, that's how bad my eyesight is. I thought that was a woman hiding in the bushes there, but that's a dog, isn't it? That's a boxer dog. I thought it was a woman doing like an exotic pose by a palm tree or something, but it's not. It's actually, it's a boxer dog. Yeah. Thanks, John. These streams are great. Yeah, like I say, I find the streams incredibly difficult. I'm not naturally someone who's drawn to speaking in a pressurized live situation for like 2 hours at a time. It's not really my forte. But at the same time, once I'm finished doing the live stream, I come off of here and I feel like, yeah, you know, I've actually achieved something. I've done something that I find quite stressful. And, you know, the world didn't collapse. So it's great. You can't beat facts. That's why these streams are needed. Yeah, and like I say, I try and keep as much as possible any sort of bias that I may have out of this. Obviously, I highlight parts which are of interest where there is a clear disconnect from what she said previously. But I think anyone would do that, wouldn't they? Because that's the whole point of looking at this. Is she telling the truth or is she not? Is there a reason why she's not being honest about certain stuff? But I try not to spend, you know, 15, 20 minutes giving you reasons why she's innocent or guilty, because like I've said previously, my opinion doesn't really count. What's important here are the facts of what happened in her trial. Go and get some glasses. Yes, JB. I need some contact lenses. I'm not going to wear glasses. I'll get some contact lenses though. Thank you, Susie. Much appreciated. What's Terence saying here? Bring him a nice extra cheesy pizza and he'll be weak at the knees. I can't deny that, Terry. I can't deny that, Terence. He knows my weakness. He really does. Right. Okay. Bloody hell. It's typical, isn't it? We've got 172 people here now, just as we finished. But anyway, this stream, once it concludes, is going to be going, it'll be going up, it'll be posted up on the channel, I should say. It's not going to go live. It'll be posted up on the channel probably about 10 or 15 minutes after we finish here. So in 10 or 15 minutes time, the full video of this live stream will be uploaded. So you'll be able to check it out in its entirety, basically. Alora Mac, exactly, Johnny. You're informing the public and giving the parents a voice. Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do, isn't it, really? I mean, you know, this is my business. This is what I do for a living. But at the same time, on countless occasions, I've thought about the fact that I read stuff online, I read stuff on social media, and these people can't fight their cause. They can't fight, or they can't put their own word out there because of the anonymity order. I just don't like that. I don't like the fact that people are allowed to spread total misinformation about this case, and even the mainstream press are as guilty as fuck for doing this. As I've explained in previous episodes, you know, oh, Lucy was told to write the therapy notes. Bullshit. I've completely proven that 100% to be a complete load of rubbish. That was a complete load of dud information that made its way into the Telegraph and has now become a staple or a massive talking point regarding Lucy Letby's notes that were recovered by the police. Anyone, if you ask anyone about this now, most people will say, oh, yeah, well, she is advised to do that by a therapist. And I have categorically proven that to be false, 100% false. I would put my channel and my bank balance on the fact that Lucy Letby was not told by her therapist in any way, shape or form to write the notes which were recovered by the police. And yet the parents of these children can't defend themselves, can they? They can't come out and say, well, you know, we never heard that mentioned during the trial. Of course they can't. They're completely silenced, which is Yeah, it's just not good, is it? It's not good. Why did Dr. A get anonymity? Good question. I wouldn't have given him anonymity. I'd given him a kick up the arse, to be perfectly honest. Yeah, he got anonymity because he's still working, and I guess, but then so are some of the others, aren't they? A lot of those nurses are still, currently practicing or whatever. But I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't believe he should have got anonymity at all, but he did. So there we are. There we go. I don't make the rules, sadly. Right. Okay, right. So what I've also done, once this goes live, why do I keep saying live? Once this live stream goes up after this, the live stream will also be on replay as well. So you'll be able to follow along with the chat that we've had this evening. And as per usual, thank you so much to the moderators, Beiji Biscoff, Terry Stamper. Anyone else who I've got here? Terry Stamper, Beiji Biscoff. No, I think you've basically run it single-handedly this evening. So thank you so much for your assistance. That's been greatly appreciated. For all the viewers, as always, many thanks for turning up for the live stream. And tomorrow's, as I say, will be probably around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock in the evening. But I'll put out the scheduled video probably around lunchtime, so you'll know what time it is, around about 12 or 1 o'clock tomorrow. Thank you so much for the support, the donations, the views, as always. I'm off to have a cup of green tea, and then I'm going to bed. So thanks so much for joining me, and I'll see you all tomorrow night for the case of Child C. Take care, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.